Hey folks, I'm Chris, and this is Short Pours. Today I'm going to take you behind the label of Monashee Spirits cask strength bourbon style whiskey called Doctor's Orders. I'm very excited to be doing this, and it has been months in the making. I met Josh, the founder and distiller, quite some time ago. We since connected over social media a little bit, but we finally managed to find a time to connect over something a little more meaningful. I'll be interviewing him about Doctor's Orders, the story behind it, and opening the now sold out bottle. For those who don't know, Monashee Spirits is in the small town of Revelstoke, here in British Columbia. They're a small family-run distillery who pride themselves on using local ingredients, sustainable methods, and of course, some of the world's best mountain spring water. So let's get going and talk to Josh. Well, Josh, thanks for taking the time to join me. Why don't you start by introducing a little bit about yourself, who you are, and who Monashee Spirits is?
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me here. I love doing this kind of stuff. I love talking about whiskey any chance I get, so this is great. My name's Josh McLafferty. I founded Monashee Spirits craft distillery here in Revelstoke, BC, way out in the middle of nowhere. Small little ski town of about 7,000 people. We've been open going on to our 8th year now, so it's been a bit of a wild ride. It's been fun. We've seen some good ups and downs. It's been a phenomenal journey though so far, and it's nice to see a lot of this whiskey that we started putting away years and years ago starting to come out and be actually available.
That's probably something a lot of people don't even think about is when you're starting out a distillery, it's like you have to build your stock and age it, and it takes years to even get things rolling, right?
Absolutely. And that's why a lot of us at the very beginning, we start with vodka, gin, liqueurs. That's what pays the bills. That's what keeps us going. It keeps the lights turned on. Then it gives us the chance to make those spirits. So Canadian law, whiskey has to be in an oak vessel for 3 years. So as it comes off a still, it's as clear as water. There's no color. There's not a lot of smell to it. So into the barrel it goes, and you just wait and wait and wait. And you hope come that time, it's going to be a great one.
But why don't you tell me about the idea behind the Days of Darkness series?
The Days of the Darkness was all started during COVID when we got the letters and the calls from the government saying you have to shut down. You're not going to be open to the public. And it was really, really dark days for us. We were one of the first making hand sanitizer in the country as well. We got local farmers to drop grains off to us. We started distilling that off and turning it into hand sanitizer. One of the local farms, Fieldstone Organics, we get a bunch of corn from them. Tons of corn. We couldn't keep up with the demand for hand sanitizer. We were making so much and donating so much. We were doing the local police, the hospital, the auxiliaries, everyone in town. We were the go-to. So I'd lay off all of my staff. It was just me in here. I'd open up my doors for about 2-3 hours each day, and I'd put a little ribbon out front so saying, hey, free hand sanitizer. People would just come every single day with a container. I'd fill it up. I'd give it back to them. I'd never charge anybody a penny for it. So those are really dark days for us. I didn't know if we're going to survive the economic recession that we're still seeing trickle down effects on all that inflation that's came from it at the time. So I had a lot of corn left over, and I spoke to them. I said, hey, do you want this corn back? I don't know what I can really do with it. And they go, no. And like, what should I do with it? Make a bourbon. Oh my gosh, yeah. Like in Canada, obviously we can't make bourbon. We can make bourbon style corn whiskeys. Some of the local physicians here in town, they're in my circle of friends, and some of them really loved bourbon. So one of the doctors here came in, and him and we said, hey, let's make bourbon together. So we ended up from start to finish. He wanted to learn the process, see how it was made, be part of the whole thing. We ground the grains, we cooked them, we distilled it, we filled a barrel, and that's the barrel we filled. And it was made with one of the doctors here in town. The whole Days of Darkness series was a lot of that extra corn that we had. We came out with a wheated bourbon style. We did a high rye one. We did the barrel-aged Pete's Ethos, which is a barrel-aged peated gin. And then we did the Doctor's Orders. Doctor's Orders, of course, paying a little bit of homage to the old style of where alcohol was a bit more medicine for you. We kept the ABV high, 58.8%. We always joked it would cure what ails you. And part of that, the physicians here, they have a band that they play in. So for our release of it, they set their band up in the distillery. We sang songs all night. We did a whiskey release party, and then we donated a bunch of the money that we raised that day to the hospital auxiliary that went back to the hospital from it. So it was a cool fundraiser. We came out of it all at the very end of it, and yeah, it was fun.
Cool. Thank you. Um, Backing up a little bit, thinking about that, those days of darkness, as you put it, making sanitizer. Looking back on that now, how does that make you feel being part of that community, giving back all out of your own pocket and your own time, and just sort of doing what was needed?
It was phenomenal. I'm part of many, many boards here in Revelstoke. I try to be a philanthropist in every chance that I can. And when the whole thing started, I was in the grocery store and hand sanitizer was sold out everywhere. There's an elderly lady there trying to find some rubbing alcohol because she was a diabetic. She couldn't find anything. I said, "Hey, where do you live? I'm going to help you out." And I got some high proof alcohol and I took it to her house. I dropped it off. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you could sell this. Everybody wants it." And that's what kind of started like, you know what? If you can help, you should help. It's one of the mottos I tell my kids. If you're able to help, just help.
Cool. And I guess a bottle like this, then, from the corn and those donations and the partnership with the doctors is sort of a community effort as well, in a bit of a way.
Oh, absolutely. None of it could have been possible without them. And a lot of the time during that, I wasn't even sure if I'd be around, if we'd survived the financial hardship that we took on during that time to even taste the whiskey when it was all done. So there was a real bittersweetness to it. I loved making whiskey. I loved sampling and tasting whiskey. I loved talking about whiskey. But this was a very challenging one because it wasn't sure if we were going to be able to have it.
And so when people pour this bottle, what do you want them to sort of think or feel as they're drinking it? What was the idea?
The idea behind it was just perseverance. One of the first releases was trepidation, then it was followed by resilience. So starting off with a bit of fear of the unknown, not sure where you're going to be going with everything. Resilience, pushing through those hard times, getting to the very end of it. And the doctor's orders was just a homage to thank you for the physicians in this town, for all that they did for us, for everything that they did for the community, because they were run ragged. They were exhausted by the end of that 2.5 years. And my hat's off to all of them for what they did during that time for us.
Um, Now your Triticale whiskey is sort of your like staple there, right? How would you say this compares to that?
Black and white difference. Yeah, that's our Triticale there. Similar bottles, slightly different on it. The Triticale grains are just so different. I was one of the only distillers using Triticale as well. Triticale is an older grain. In Scotland at the time, they were using wheat to feed a lot of their cattle, their crops, and things like that. But drought and disease was really rough on wheat crops. Rye was really hardy, drought resistant, disease resistant, but rye turned into oatmeal whenever it was used as feed and things like that. So they crossed wheat and rye together to create a wheat grain, but with the properties of rye. So our Triticale whiskey is grown 58 miles as a crow flies from our front doorstep. We've got about 30 acres that's grown certified organic for us. I bring a bit of a terroir focus towards my whiskeys. I'm a bit of a purist when I make them. But yeah, it's a really neat grain. So it has a lot more of the Canadian rye flavor profile. Begins sweet with a wheat whiskey, but then that peppercorn, Christmas baking spice, grandma's rye bread comes through afterwards, where the doctor's orders a heavy, heavy corn bill that goes into it. Lots of sugars, lots of caramel, big vanilla notes on it. It's just a completely polar different whiskey that comes through.
And it was aged 3 years in what sort of barrel?
Almost 4 years. We didn't quite hit that 4 year mark, so label it as three. It was in new American oak. Char number 4 is pretty much what I do all my barrels onto. We have 3 different yeast strains that we use on it, and then 1 proprietary yeast that we've actually isolated and grown here ourselves from some honeycomb. We've got an apiary on the rooftop. We've got honeybees here. So years and years ago for a brandy, we found one of our own strains of yeast. We used it to ferment, and we add a little bit of that to every whiskey that we make too.
Awesome. That sounds delicious. And, all local, sustainable. Cool. Before we give it a pour, what else do you sort of want people to know about doctor's orders or about Monashee?
Oh man, I've taken a very different ethos towards opening a distillery and how we run our business. I'm not in any liquor stores. That's one of the really unique parts about Monashee. I believe in supporting local. And with that, it's if you're in Vancouver, you should be supporting those local distilleries in Vancouver. The one around the corner, they're the ones that need your help. I want people when they come to Revelstoke to come and visit us, do a tour, do a tasting, try some cocktails, grab that bottle, and then take it home, share with your friends. I've done talks in Vancouver. They say, "Oh, we want to get some of your bottles." I'm like, "No, you need to support the local ones around the corner because I think a lot of them right now are going through hard times, and they need that support from their local people." I do ship my bottles. I do send them across the country, of course, but I always try to focus around come here, bring your family, come for a ski, go for a bike, grab a bottle, take it back home with you. We're also a massive cocktail bar. We were voted one of the top cocktail bars in the country. And we're also one of the largest spirit collections in all of Canada. We're sitting at over 1,300 bottles on our shelves. 750 or so of those are whiskey alone. So we've got an extensive collection of every spirit possible to get. So it's a really cool experience when you're able to come here.
Crazy. Why is it so important to you that people support their local distilleries?
A rising tide lifts all boats. And the better this industry can do, I think the better all of us can do from it. I know a lot of distilleries I've worked with over the past. I know a lot of them are going through a lot of financial hard times right now. And this is more than ever when they need the support from their locals. I know you can drink your favorites and you can always buy it, but I encourage everyone to always just give it a chance. Go in and try it. And you might not love everything that they make, but I know it would mean the world to all those local distillers around the corner from you if you can just go and grab that.
I think that's an important part about sort of anything craft distilling, beer is using those local ingredients, and it's really a taste of that region, right? Like you're imparting the flavor of the soils into the grains, the water, everything is about making it local and sort of tasting that specific area and region, province, right?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, in the distilling industry, we've gotten away from quality and we'll focus more on quantity, whereas grapes will focus on the terroir of the grape. What was the pH? What was the soil? How much rain did they get that season? They care about the quality of that grape over how much they can yield. We've shifted away to that in farming being how much yield can we get in a certain area versus what is the quality of those grains. Big companies, Waterford, for example, in Ireland are doing extremely terroir driven whiskeys that are amazing. The exact same barley, the exact same yeast, the exact same mash bill grown on two separate farms, two different whiskeys. It shows they've proven that it works. Good ingredients make a good spirit.
On that note, should I give this a pour and walk me through what I should be tasting and smelling?
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's give it a pour here. So what was the mash bill on this again?
This one is sitting at 80% corn. It's got about 5% rye to it and 15% malted barley. And if you're ever having a dram late at night one night and you want to see something neat, if you put a bit of lights onto the eagle, that's glow in the dark paint. The whole eagle glows in the dark.
That's amazing. My kids are gonna love that.
Right?
Yeah, so you immediately get that sweet corn.
Yeah, the corn's so dominant in it. The vanilla wafers is what I've always said as well. Kind of icing sugars come through. The corn is there, a nice maltiness though, and then small hints of that rye, almost like a white pepper, a little bit of bone fruit.
Yeah, really light on the pepper.
Mm.
I'm getting some kind of like a fresh grass too. Very, very fresh. All right.
And 58.8% definitely packs a good punch to it. Water opens it up just lovely, sitting around that 45 to 47% dilution. A whole new world of flavors come through on there.
And so with that in mind, why did you keep it at the 58.8?
That was the doctor's decision. Because they said it's almost medicinal at that point, and it'll cure anything that's wrong with you drinking high proof alcohol like that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it came out of the barrel at. After filtering and everything else, that is untouched with anything else other than the barrel. I think when we originally pulled it out, it was off by about 1 or 2 points by filtering and everything. When it was said and done, it settled right at 58.8, and that was our happy place. I didn't want to touch it with anything else.
You get a lot of that sort of caramel, vanilla. That wafer on the nose is much stronger on the palate now. I feel
Absolutely.
almost like a vanilla crunchy wafer with a bit of like a dry finish to it.
And the water just opens that up a lot more. A little bit of almost citrus and fruits come out as well when the dilution comes down on it.
Mm.
Vanilla, the caramel, the wafers just stays that whole time.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
yeah. Okay, so I've added a couple of drops of distilled water here. Oh yeah. Mm. You definitely get more fruit. A bit of
Yeah,
that like
it really comes through
fruit
more.
citrus as soon as you add water.
Yeah,
That rich caramel and vanilla settles down a little bit to open up for fruits.
a bit more of
Yeah,
the malt comes through as well, almost like a cooked oatmeal.
yeah,
I love cast strength because it kind of gives you two whiskeys in one. You can
yeah,
sit
right.
in your cast strength, you can enjoy it, you add water, you fill your glass back up, and now all of a sudden you have a totally different whiskey that tastes different and it's still the same.
Yeah, I'm almost getting like a oatmeal cookie. Mm,
I think on one of the main write-ups I said it was a cooked oatmeal with fruits into it, like a
yeah,
sundae.
okay. Yeah, yeah, that's right. That caramelly brown sugar and oats mixed together with that, you know, sweet
Citrus,
vanilla and a bit of citrus. Really nice.
almost like a creme brulee brown sugar on top.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably what's getting me that like cookie note. Yeah. And so is this all sold out now?
We
Can
are
people
sold out of it completely. Yeah, every
and
bottle of that release sold out quite fast.
that's one of the beautiful things about small batch whiskeys like this is you got to get it while it's released, right? Because otherwise you're gonna miss something new and interesting and different or fantastic.
Totally. And we've hit a point now, like with our Triticale, it's a stock product for us. We've got, I think last month we bottled about 2 or 3 thousand bottles of it. So it's a stock item. We now finally reached a point where I've got so much whiskey. Now some of it's put away longer. Some of it's in an art bag barrel. We're doing a peated Triticale. I've got some 5 and 6 year old Triticale setting aside now to growing. So that's our go-to, always one that we have on the shelves, but it's the one-off special releases that we sell at a fast. And back to that community support. Our last single malt was a 6 year old single malt that we came out with. I think we sat around 300, 400 bottles or so, and we sold out in 45 minutes. Out the front door, not even online. We were lined up around the block for our whiskey releases here.
And tell me what you have going on next that's, new and exciting or different that you're sort of working on that people can expect.
Right come summertime, we're coming out with some of our seasonal release gins. We've got a strawberry rhubarb gin we come out with right in June. Our Big Mountain Creamer, which is an Irish cream liqueur, comes back out in the summertime as well for July and August. And then this fall, one of our peated releases is going to be hitting the shelves. We've got a peated Triticale and a peated single malts that we'll be releasing. So the single malt's sitting at 5 years right now. We're going to be blending that with a bit of an older single malt too to get it a bit more body. But those are the next ones coming out. And then next year, I think we've got another single malt, an older one, about a 7 year old coming out too. Other than that, everything's still just sleeping away in those barrels. We've got lots of different things filled up. We've got some sherry casks filled. We've got some port casks filled. A bunch more of those Ardbeg barrels are sitting there aging away. So we've also got an infinity barrel. A lot of the home connoisseurs love their infinity bottles. We took the same idea here, but we did a full-size barrel. Actually, one of these behind me over there. Every whiskey we've ever made we pour in just a couple liters into that barrel, and it's got a collection of every single whiskey that's ever existed.
It sounds like you genuinely love your job, and you've got such a fun, interesting sort of artistic world where you get to play with ingredients and barrels and yeasts. What do you love most about what you do?
Honestly, on that one, I love the freedom to be able to be a dad. That is what I absolutely love the most about what I do, is that I've got two young kids. They're 7 and 9 now. For the first few years, it was incredibly difficult opening a business up and getting this place started. But now, being a business owner and being able to have good staff and great management that helps me here, the best part of my job is to be able to just leave and grab my kids and spend those moments where they need their dad there. I can always be there for them. Next in line would be able to try all these whiskeys. 700-800 bottles on my shelf. I've tried every single whiskey that I have here. I've done my W sets in whiskey, my whiskey ambassadors. I run whiskey programs here in Revelstoke. We do whiskey tastings all the time. We started the Revelstoke Whiskey Society, which at one point we had 30-40 people showing up to some of the meetings here. It was through the roof, and it was phenomenal. I love education of whiskey. I love talking to people about whiskey, explaining why things are the way they are. Some things to look for, some things to kind of stay away from. I've always just had that passion towards whiskeys. So being able to educate myself and to teach others about spirits, why we drink them, what they are, is really important to me, because I truly believe that spirits are just a photograph in time. Hundreds of hands went into making just a single bottle. When you break it down, from the seeds to the growers to the farmers to the cleaners, the packagers, just to make it to my door, and then all the steps. A lot of my barrels are aged right in my bar. They're surrounded by over 10, 20, 30,000 people a year telling stories beside them as they age and they get better. Then finally they can come out, and you have this spirit that is, it's a picture of time. It's beautiful.
And it's often something that brings people together, right? Like you pour a glass, you talk about the story, you enjoy a drink, and you sort of open up and, make connections with other people, right?
Absolutely. It's used to celebrate, it's used to mourn, it's used to bring people together. It's a beautiful thing. It's one of the oldest things we've ever had. I love it. I think it's phenomenal.
Well, Josh, on that note, thank you for taking the time to talk to me, to educate me on whiskey and your processes and Monashee, and hear all about it. I really appreciated it, and hopefully next time we can do this in person.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Thanks so much, Chris.
Thanks, Josh.
Chris.